But we're finally ready to get into the pistol round. It's action kicking off now on map number 2, and hopefully a revitalized Entropiq who are going to show themselves. It's what we need.
Well, the difficult nature with them is them sort of starting down on that city side or moving over to their city side in the second half, which can be quite poor. So they do need to start getting a move on, and they're going quite quickly into this A side. A lot of information coming forward. Cities want a retaking ramp, flash over the top. They're not seeing anything.
Oh, destruction from Nickelback. What the hell? How has he got so many? I was going to say might even have a little bit more with Kickard on low health, but no, eventually denied. They can't do anything about denying the bomb plant though, so that is going to be put down, but it still ended up in a 2-on-2. This flank of Forrester has been coming in the entire time. They just needed to waste a little bit of time for it to come through and be effective, and they've given him chances somehow. Buster gets it down even into the 1-on-1. Eventually Forrester's flank rather will pay off, but damn was that scary, man. Comes down to Nickelback needing a ridiculous 3k as well.
Yeah, that was crazy coming into the Glocks. And for VP, they were just out of position. They started retaking ramp, and while they wanted to take the fight and keep pressure on, it was actually them just getting backstabbed in from the one lurk and even the wraparound from Ali to the back of Yellow to open up that A site. Nickelback going absolutely huge, something that was great to see from him that we didn't quite see in that first map. VP have never won a round 2 break, losing pistol and being able to follow up to the conversion. Will this be the first thing? At least they've got Yukinda taking that early contact in ramp.
Could potentially be the win. They got close to it on the previous one as well.
Yeah.
Had I think found the 4-on-2 if I'm remembering correctly before it kind of fell apart then to the retake.
Yeah.
So you know they're good enough with these pistols to land the shots and such, but it's a bit harder to make happen, I've got to say, here on the CT side of Vertigo. See, not too many nades in behind it. The FAMAS of Yek in there really being the main weapon, and we said they were very good with initiative when they were in these kind of positions where they're behind. They realize they can't just sit back and allow all the freedom to be given over to Entropiq, or at least that was the case on Overpass. So I'm wondering if they again try and maybe throw in something a little bit dodgy in the early stages to try and steal away a kill and such an advantage with it, really. I like this. They're moving back over towards B. A little bit of presence early on ramp, but they aren't actually going to move with it at all, really. Just leaving, I believe, the one player to hold off, the rest of them ready to go on towards B, and they've made the correct decision because it's completely open. Even if Buster gets here in time, he's just got so little to try and fight it that I don't think it'll make much of a difference. And, well, he does some decent damage on the Lackey, but he's not going to be getting the finish. So with that now, the bomb likely to be planted, and they've got enough here that it honestly would have just been worthwhile saving and given the exact same round rather a go in the next one. So I'm kind of surprised that they end up losing that FAMAS.
No, starting to see as well with these second round buys on the Force for cities. More CZs and 5.7s than Deagle's out for everybody now with that nerf coming forward. Crad trying to see if he can harm into any more farming damage. And for VP, the whole round just came down to the risk, didn't it, of that gamble stack on A. We saw Buster was the only B player. He starts getting pulled away, and Entropiq just are able to get the right read. They move into an open bottom side. Kick it, just trying to see if he can hold as long as possible with this Deagle. Crad looking for more, doesn't quite come in. So there's some exit damage being done, even if it is quite minimal. Entropiq up to a 2-0 start. VP won't have much to work with going into the third.
Not much at all. Obviously, what they saved will be there, but other than that, I wouldn't imagine much investment. Okay, actually, a decent amount coming in. Yakindar gets himself an extra 650 investment there to pull out the Kevlar, having the Deagle, obviously, as well given to him. So there's a little bit to work with. They have a chance, at least, again, to make it a costly one for Entropiq. Try and take away 2 or 3 players, at least, really, has got to be the goal here, because it is pretty heavy on the rifles as well for Entropiq. And they've built up a decent amount of money now off that previous round, so they've got a great opportunity really to build up the economy early on and hopefully avoid some of the positions they found themselves in. Back on Overpass, I believe he did spot the man indeed. Wasn't too sure if he had seen Yakindar at first. Forgot his name for a moment because obviously he's rocking a different one. It's been awkward. Not Yakindar. But it's not going too well. It's quite awkward for VP as well. Being picked off one by one against those rifles. The bomb should be brought in and planted. And, I mean, maybe for James, it's worthwhile saving the Kevlar. It'll save him a little bit of money towards pulling out the op in the opening gun round. I know it's the meme that James saves. I think there probably would have been worthwhile. But he gets taken down in the end. And not a single casualty to come through. And that's a massive bottle of water, man. Stay hydrated.
I was just going to make that point, mate. Honestly, you've read my mind. I looked at that thing. Jeez, look at the size of that thing. Oh, I guess the maps are quite long, you know. 50 minutes, an hour. All right, got to stay hydrated.
I think he was rocking one of them 3 liters there.
How often do you reckon that gets filled up? Once a best of 3 or midway through?
Hopefully not that often. No,
Yeah.
we'd be suffering from technical pauses every 2 minutes for bladder issues. That's what it'd be. But we're at a 3-0 lead, as expected here for Entropiq. They've hydrated themselves. They're doing a little bit better in the early stages. But VP, they want to come alive in the opening gun round. We said so far they normally have had at least a pistol in the early stages to work with, so they haven't really found themselves often in a 3-0 position. And the nade stack is nasty. I love it. Into the opening gun round, 2 of them over on towards Buster. He had been entrusted alone on B, for the moment anyway. But there's very quick rotations already in place. They've been held off by that molly and definitely want to reconsider the goal now as it looks like they move back towards the ramp.
That's a fantastic HE stack. Even a one-way smoke for Elian to put down to try and hope to catch across as any of the CTs start moving forward. Ikinda's got to try and find an advantage back. Try and get a ramp pick, stay alive if possible. Very wide on the angle. Does deal with the first. Can you find one of those multi-frags? A lot of damage onto the second. That actually brings it back to a 3v3. That was a decent position for Ikinda to get him in.
Yeah, sadly couldn't hang on to his life, but as you said, 3-on-3, although it does tend to favor the T side, is not the worst spot ever for VP to be in. Although Elian has already crept forward on B, I was thinking might have got the man coming over the scaffolding, but no, actually just peeks in to find Sanji instead. Knows there's another man up close as well, has even now heard the scope of the offer back in on mid, so he should be able to call that over to his teammates as they push in, but the bomb's being dropped. Nickelback takes the fight alone, and it's only now that Elian goes for the trade, and he's going to find them both. It gets way too dangerous for my liking, though, I'm not going to lie. Either way, the 4-0 is taken for Entropiq. Not tapen. It's kind of taped, though, since we are streaming it. That's not what I intended to say.
VP probably not intended to be down 0-4, right? They're having a difficult time here on that City side. Yakinda doing well to be able to get a couple of picks out from ramp. And on that B side, we see Elian just working with a lot of room. Got some great timing, didn't he? Just the way that he was able to walk through towards that default position, deal with the anchor, and then just continue to do damage. And what a change of mentality. So positive for Entropiq out of the gates here on T side.
Yeah, so much better. Already with the same number of rounds that they got versus Gambit in their matchup on it yesterday. So it's an improvement no matter what, almost, unless things just kind of spiraled completely out of control and they lost 16 from here. That's pretty unlikely considering they're also against pistols right now. I'm not really expecting a lot from VP. They've already damaged up a couple of players though, so I was afraid slightly maybe that we'd see the casualties being suffered. Although that's kind of necessary even for VP to do the damage, because Entropiq are building up a pretty solid economy. And it's not really looking too likely that they will start taking the weapons away now. Maybe Sanji can get this one. That'd be an 8-gate, and he can perhaps even save over. Indeed, as he has Lackey in the back of the bomb site. Both of them now actually going to be moving through together. And there you go. A 1-for-1 trade. Not a bad find. They'll get the AK. Can he save it, though? Probably not. Brad's on the hunt with a Mac-10. He's not got too much to lose. Wants to ensure the rifle won't be recovered. At least not by the enemies. He will recover it himself in the end. And we've got a 5-0. This is great. Everyone's looking good. The individual's looking pretty solid across the board as well. Everyone's contributing to a fairly equal level within these opening rounds. It's what you want to see. You needed this team effort for Entropiq to get back into the series. But now we see the double up setup from VP. This is the switch up to try and get themselves going.
Coming into this matchup, VP were tied first in the entire CIS RMR for flash assist per round at 0.31. We saw a lot of utility being used out in that last map of Overpass, and Buster actually just wins out that first AWP pick to mid. So a decent start to come through, give them an advantage. A couple of trades go back and forth. Kicker's playing out to the sandbags.
Yeah, usually a bit of a dangerous position being that heavily committed, especially when the mollies can come in. But as you said, not going to be looking to stick around anymore anyways. Fortunately so, because the molly does end up going in also. Here we go, Jame with his op might get a little bit of a chance now. You said Buster had of course kicked things off on mid. Jame being the primary upper, yet to actually showcase his one. Has now been pushed back from the short angle though, and I believe had been spotted a little bit as well. The mollies, the smokes, everything coming over as the bomb site starts to get blocked off. It should give enough room for that bomb to actually be planted. There was a massive gap on the left side though. They weren't really able to take too much of a fight in. Instead, they want to fight above the bomb site itself. Crad gets flashed over. He did actually allow Nickelback to pick up the first kill, and he gets a good trade as well then on towards Crad falling on the bomb site. But it still comes in towards the one-on-one for Forrester. Tucked in on sandbags. fairly common position, but it's still difficult to deal with as James doesn't have a key. He needs to move relatively quickly. And Forrester's just already posted on the angle. Knowing he's against the up, knowing that his best chance there is just to wait on the angle for his opponent to step into the crosshair. And that's exactly how it works out for him. It's another round that they barely scrape in their favor with a single man surviving once again. But that doesn't matter. They keep on winning the rounds. They've got a 6-0.
That round was incredibly well played from Entropiq in the post plant, because you notice how they lose the opening fight, they recover it ever so slightly, they get the bomb down in the 3v4, and they know if we just play passive, if we just hold our angles and don't fight, we're probably just going to get overwhelmed. So instead, alright Crad, make a play. We're going to flash you high, get on top of default, him and Nickelback are going to peek together, and just allow Forrester to play passive, allow him to play out from the sandbags, waste as much time as possible, win that 1v1 onto James. VP taking a tactical now on Vertigo because things are really not going their way. And statistically, the last 3 months, their CT side is so much stronger than T. So to see them 0-6, it's worrying moving forward for the rest of this map.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, the CT side tends to pick up about 58% of those rounds for VP. So it's dropping what they are now. Not ideal. For the Entropiq boys, they tend to win about 54% of their rounds on the T side, so it's even the other way around. So as you said, it's a good sign for Entropiq at least that they're getting their strong start here, but it's not quite as heavily, I guess, biased towards one side for Entropiq. They're a little bit closer between both halves. Obviously, with a 6-0 start, they're definitely on a good track. Yakandar, though, had already gotten himself the initial kill here. Unfortunately, barely managed to keep his life with 5 health, so when he's eventually challenged again, he will actually be taken down. Now the weapon in a position where it can't be picked up by anyone else, unfortunately, so they will move forward on B. The bomb, very likely to be planted without really much of a chance for anyone to fight for it. Picked by Forrester. Surprised he actually expects that player to be coming around to the spawn right there. Definitely doesn't want to hang around, though. They need to just stick together here, try and keep all 4 players standing if they can. They haven't got really anything to gain from hunting VP. You may as well just build up that economy into a position where you just have no chance of being broken at all within the half, basically. That's the spot it's getting to also. This is crazy. The contrast between the VP we're getting now and the VP we got back on Overpass is pretty mental.
Yeah, it is. And they're even thinking about hunting this last player, so confidence at an all-time high. And for Entropiq, they've got some lovely pairs on this team. You have a look at the 2 guys, Crad and Forrester. They've been playing together for a very long time. You think back to the Dream Eaters days, then they went over to Hard Legion. They even played together for a short stint as stand-ins on Nemega, and then came over to join up with the ex-Windstrike guys to then move over to Entropiq. And Forrester as well is an individual who this year alone has been incredibly consistent for his team. Always puts up numbers. Yeah, he didn't have a crazy performance on map 1. He was still leading the fragging. He's come over here on T side. He won that 1v1 against James. He's been doing a lot of lurking, cutting off rotations, and he's 9 kill, 1 death.
Yeah, they're also relatively young. I think the Crad's 22 and Forrester's like 21. So while
Yeah,
they're not the youngest of players ever, they've still a long career ahead of them if that's what they want. And I'd imagine haven't even nearly hit their prime as of yet. So definitely exciting, as you were saying. A nice little pair that seem to have maybe a bit of a friendship between them since they've stuck together for so long.
Yeah.
I hate seeing the duo is broken up. Obviously, we lost Spitty and Dennis recently.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
Yeah.
But it's been rough for VP as well. So while we stay on topic here, they really just need this round if they want any opportunity of beginning to recover. Honestly, I'm getting very worried just in general for this entire series now for VP, because I expected this one, at least if it was to go the way of Entropiq, to be competitive. But if Entropiq are to take a very one-sided victory here, then things could get quite awkward for VP on Ancient, as at least an opening kill again goes the way of Entropiq. So yeah, nothing for VP. For a moment I thought it was from VP, realized then, no, not quite the case. It was actually the boost at the bottom of the ramp. It's Yakandar as well who goes down, who was so impactful at getting those opening kills for the VP side back on Overpass, and he seems to be trying it here again, but it's not going nearly as well. Entropiq are doing a much better job at punishing.
But there was a period where I don't even think we had got to the half just yet. He was 17 and 8. He was putting on so many numbers on that City side. 1-for-1 trade. Smoke awkwardly put down by the T's. And now even Forrester just waiting for the wraparound, waiting for those rotations. James has got to find some connections with this AWP on the side.
The smoke, though, stopping him from having any vision. Those connections would have been down to pretty much the look, and, well, he's not going to have any luck at all. He gets spammed up through the smoke himself by Crad. Forced back now to try and save both of these weapons, as Entropiq have already gone ahead and made it halfway to the finish line without dropping a single round. This seemed damn near impossible. I think they're, if anything, angered by that previous game. That's what it
I'm
seems.
so confused how we're here, Dean. How is a team that looks so flat on their map pick coming to Vertigo, one of their worst maps in the pool, and they're 8-0?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily understanding this. One of their worst maps, I'd probably agree with that, but they play it a lot, so maybe that skews the statistics slightly. They tend to play it against pretty good teams as well. But in general, it is pretty up and down, so I would expect it, even if it was the win here. I was thinking it's going to be a close one, bit of back and forth.
Yeah.
No, far from it.
Yeah, wild stuff. And for Entropiq, it feels as if maybe Hooch has kind of spoken to them in sort of the break and sort of, guys, like, come on, let's tighten up. Maybe play with more freedom, knowing that pressure's not exactly on for this team, that the win or the loss doesn't make a huge difference from them. And sometimes just that conversation and that realization of, okay, let's try and take pressure away from us is actually what's leading them so far forward on the second map.
Nice molly, flushing out Buster. Limited weaponry at the moment in the hands of VP as well, so it's not ideal when already they are somewhat struggling to get themselves on the board. And okay, yeah, Yak in there. Was he spotted there? I don't think so. A bit of a spam around the edge of the smoke though into the angle. Good for Forrester to get the first kill, but he does move forward on the ramp then without any other teammates nearby to help him out. I think just wanting to try and get some of the control for them so that they could kind of put the pressure on VP, have them thinking it might have been that A hit. We know it's not though. VP are going to find that out incredibly soon, as well as Buster's being overrun, not able to even get one off at a bomb site. The flashes were just a bit too perfect, unfortunately, and suddenly it's all on Sanji. What had looked somewhat promising in the 4-on-4 is gone within seconds. It's going to be 9-0 for Entropiq. Again, what the hell is going on, VP? What the hell?
Sanji, let's catch the first? Ah, no more than that. It's one kill. You can be happy with the backflip as well, Dean. That's probably the most they're happy about, right? They didn't really get much in that round at all. Oh, boy. And we are in the same conversation as we were on Overpass of where's the individuals? Where's the star player? We knew it was James and Yakenda for VP. Entropiq, we didn't have that guy. Where, okay, let's look at the numbers now for VP. 5 for Buster. 4 for Yakenda, 3 for Sanji, 4 for the Opera James, 4 for Kicker. No one's putting up numbers.
It really is crazy. This is going even worse for VP than it did for Entropiq in that previous map. So it's just not something that I was feasibly thinking would even be possible coming into the second map here between them. I figured if we were to see a competitive one, it was pretty likely, and we'd see hopefully Entropiq showing a lot more than the last map. But I didn't think VP would go completely missing in the meantime. So it's been kind of crazy. And as you said, this is really one of their last chances to get those individuals going to hopefully recover the CT side towards a decent number of rounds. And even then, 6 is the optimal, and I really do think that's a little bit too far out of reach for them. It'd have to be flawless for the rest of the half, of course. But a slower one from Entropiq. I like this. They're not really in too much of a rush. They're not letting the overconfidence get to them. They know that it's still a very difficult series here as they have to fight their way back in, not only on this map, but still on Ancient. So they're taking their time and just ensuring that VP won't be able to get anything going again here to warm themselves up. But there's a good start. Buster had been forward on B for quite a while. He only now just shown himself. Does go down, and he was the only man holding, I believe, presence initially on this side of the map. But they start moving back over. They have no idea. Buster should have at least 2 from this, maybe a little bit more. Is the hat trick? It was found, but not in the quick burst right there. He wasn't able to get them in a row. All onto Crad now, and he goes down. So finally, we're going to be able to welcome VP to the scoreboard. Can we get a round of applause? Can they keep it up though? They have their they have about 6 or 7 gun rounds really that would be needed before they broke the economy of Entropiq, and at that point the half is over. So they're definitely not going to have any easier rounds. It's going to really just keep up being this difficult.
Now, I was just thinking to myself, is this the first time in history that a team has been 16-0'd and then the next day 16-0'd them to another opposition?
He caught it. That's what cursed it.
Just me thinking it. That's all it came down to. As soon as I had my eyes on the prize. And for VP, well, that looks better, didn't it? We saw Buster, the way that he's slightly wide on that B stairs, creating that first fight, and then just getting into a great position, not being checked at all, completely overlooked. Now it comes down to what more consistency can we find. They've got some AKs to work with that was safe in that last round. Entropiq being very silent out to their ramp take. Normally we see a lot of utility, see a lot of flashes instead. Very silent.
Yeah, they were pretty slow in the previous round, but as you said, they were at least using the nades to put the pressure on in those early moments. They weren't really just sitting back. Instead, though, they go a bit quieter, and eventually when they do start moving in towards ramp, this time you don't really have VP challenging for it. They're actually going to be able to find that control quite a bit easier. Ad's also pushed up pretty close on mid to lurk around and potentially catch the flank on towards A, but they're going to start moving already, and James got a pretty decent start off the back of it. Catches Forrester, they drop the mollies and smokes to ensure the pushes won't be following up all that quickly from Entropiq, and they're being torn apart. VP looking much, much better in this round now. Sanji with another kill extends the advantage to a 5-on-3, but it is still Nickelback, Lackey, and Ellie, and so three very capable players who, if not are still able to win this round, could at the very least still make it competitive. And there you go, Nickelback's already gotten himself two. Alien, he finds Jame, it's just fallen apart somehow. A 3-on-2 has been turned around. It's back in favor of Entropiq, and Sanji and Buster have got to save the day.
Sanji's just desperate for a pick, any sort of way in, and even Nickelback slowly moving back over to the default position. Massive angle that Sanji just did not expect at all. Nickelback even going to follow up with a 4K overall. Oh my goodness, what a recovery to come through from Entropiq. I'm starting to not understand why some of those positions are being held from VP. Kickit is like in front of default boxes. Why is he there? He's just playing on the edge of a smoke. We see Akinda aggressive too from the back of yellow. They've got a 5-on-3. Why are they holding such aggressive angles?
Yeah, it really wasn't necessary. I mean, I don't think their nades were fantastic by any means, but as you said, it's still a 5-on-3. There's no need to push forward of the smoke. Sit back and try and even maybe just do a bit more damage as they push in, and just keep that fantastic advantage that you have to work for the retake. Instead, now it's given the opportunity back to Entropiq, who are going to eat it up. They aren't going to give away any of these chances that they currently have. Obviously, knowing how important the game is, they'll head up very likely 11-1, as VP have already lost that A bomb site, as Yakandar had been just kind of entrusted alone. They took a gamble, didn't work out. They'll at least have these weapons now to work with in the next round, which will give them probably a pretty similar investment. I think they'll likely buy up around it. Can't really afford to take an eco at this stage anymore. What the hell has happened in the VP?
I think it could be an issue with the mental game. Because I look at Entropiq and I don't want to take anything away from them. They're playing great. It's just for VP, it doesn't quite feel like that smart Counter-Strike we were seeing in the first map is coming as much in the second. We're seeing a lot more looser stuff from them. We're seeing overly aggressive peaks that are completely unnecessary. Great utility out to the B stairs to just try and hunt down that last lurker. And I think Forrester even just got run boosted around it, didn't he? I was like, how did he turn up on the other side there? 11 on the board for Entropiq. It's crazy to think just how one-sided the first map was and then just how further one-sided the second is. So what, both teams just going to win each other's map picks by the looks of it?
In one-sided fashion as well, yeah. 16-7 obviously for VP back on Overpass. It could be even more one-sided for Entropiq here on Vertigo, which I never would have thought I'd be saying, to be honest, after how that first map went down. But again, it worries me more so for VP now if they're left in this position, because they are not a fantastic Ancient team. It's going to be a tough time if they have to head onto there to keep themselves alive fighting for the third place. Forrester, okay, fantastic entries over towards the ramp right there. Able to get himself actually two before eventually going down. But the trades have still managed to come true, and Entropiq, as always, have ended up with a man advantage somehow. VP left with just Buster and Jame. Aliens actually crept onto the A bomb site. In the meantime, Jame all the way down the ramp. Should be caught by Lackey. Yeah, they seem to have confirmed this now, so that can let the flank come in, although Jame might have a chance to force the issue before he gets flanked out. And will manage to actually find the bomb for himself, but there's just no way he expects that. Why the hell would Alien be behind him? So it's all on Buster. I don't mean to burst this bubble, but his chance is not looking too good right now with just the FAMAS. And well, with still a ton of time as well for Entropiq really to take this 2-on-1 wherever they want. They can slow it down, they can make the time, allow Buster to begin kind of questioning himself. And just ensure that when they go in, they're together, which isn't the case. Don't love this. It works out for Elian, but it's, in my opinion, an unnecessary risk right there that could have backfired, but he gets away with it.
That whole round just had so many working pieces for Entropiq. You've got, what, Forrester running out ramp. He gets a couple of kills before being traded. And then once it gets back to a 3-on-3, Crad goes for an incredibly wide attempt at a wide swing out in mid, brings the advantage through. And then you've got players just being able to kind of hiccup over one another. We see the way Alien gets onto A. James is still down there at the bottom of ramp. He gets 1 kill, gets traded quickly, and then Elian's starting to really put on a show. He's finding a lot of consistency with his AWP. Yeah, maybe he's not hitting the ridiculous flicks. He's getting a lot of kills, and so are some of his teammates. Forrester's putting up numbers. Nickelback too. VP, they're getting destroyed on Vertigo. Oh, yeah.
Aim not lacking for Lackey anyway. Nice little crisp entry. I mean, this is so many rounds in a row. We've just seen the first entry or two pretty much confirming the round win already because of the sites being lost. Krad's got himself another, which honestly should be leaving VP with almost zero hope on making this retake happen. They don't even have a kit. I understand you need round win desperately at this point, but sometimes it's just kind of silly to throw the weapons away on a retake that you have no hope of pulling off. And unfortunately now they don't even have the best opportunity of saving the 2 weapons, and that's not even going to be allowed. So likely only James to carry the op over. We know how strong he is at saving these weapons, so hopefully he can manage to hold off and bring it into the final round of the half, because it will be pretty much all that they have. Good shot. Lands on Nickelback, a couple then followed up. Not quite going to be going ahead and connecting on Forrester, and in the entire time, of course, he'd just been throwing out those shoulders, trying to bait as long as he could for that flank to come in. So eventually they do take out the upper. 13-1 is the scoreline, and even if VP somehow managed to get this last round of the half, which is very unlikely, they're still screwed, let's be real.
And what's crazy to think about as well, Dean, is Elian and Forrester are putting themselves in quite a few aggressive duels. They're looking for a lot of fights. And yeah, they've been incredibly successful. Look at the deaths. Elian's died 3 times and Forrester 6. When you think about how many fights these guys are taking.
Yeah, it is a bit crazy, as you said, with the amount of W they're pressing. 3 on Elian, 6 for Forrester. I mean, it's kind of just crazy for Elian, especially. That's a ridiculously few amount of deaths after what has been almost an entire half. And, ooh, damage. James actually got spammed initially, so I guess he was a little bit angry by that, decided to return some fire. And when he did tag up a player in Forrester, unfortunately, he doesn't get the kill and eventually gets taken down himself. So again, the first blood actually will go the way of Entropiq, maybe to be extended as well. Elian spotted the man there in behind the bomb site. Smoke, though, going down, lets the CT start pushing forward up against the crane.
Ooh.
Something you couldn't do before, of course. They are going to go forward. Do they have a flash? No, it's actually dry. Somehow getting away with it. Instead, the flash was used for the escape to come through, as well as for Sanji to go ahead and follow it up. But this is risky. They're staying in aggressive, and it's allowed now, again, a 3-on-3 to be returned.
Being able to chuck that flash back over to a teammate allows at least more util to come forward. Krad with the dry peek. Sancho on the site is continuing to do damage. He's got away with a couple. The CTs are so passive, so the bomb could just get planted, and Lucky's backing up the cross, waiting for that run out to come in. Trying to adjust onto the angle. Sanji just jiggle peeking through. The mask can't find anything and busts down the last one left to just try and see if he can get the clutch together. It's not going to happen. 14-1. What a half in for Entropiq. Let's see if they can just close it after this break. Now, the core of Entropiq, once upon a time, had a 16-3 scoreline against Fate on the 26th of August last year. That is their most one-sided Vertigo to date, Dean. Honestly, today, it could be even better. This could be 16-1. This is such an insane half by them.
You've jinxed it now, haven't you, Dwight? You ruined it. Nah, they still have their shot. I've called it out, so we've counteracted the jinx, and now it's just down to how the teams play. That's how it works 100%. But yeah, I mean, VP, even if they get this pistol round, it's still an incredibly long road ahead. At the very least, would maybe have a chance to warm up before that third and final map of Ancient. We're seeing a pretty slow pistol round. Change up in the pace of what we got throughout that entirety of the first half, where things tended to be relatively quick. Instead, a stalemate as the teams really just group up, getting ready pretty soon to challenge in towards ramp, though. So you will see those exchanges between the USPs that have been peaking and aggressively right since the beginning. And Elian and Forrester taking one each are going to be more than happy now to just go ahead and back off towards the bomb site, ruining what it had been a planned execute as well for VP, because I believe they took down one of those players that was rocking the utility. Not all being picked up straight away either. There was a molly, I think, that was in the possession of the other smoke carrier, so that's what's going to be put into the possession of Kickard instead of the smoke when it's dropped. So a little bit unfortunate. A very difficult 3-on-5 now as the time begins to tick away as well.
And Entropiq have just got so many players in and around this A site that for VP, they're running into a heavy stack. And now Entropiq start realizing they haven't heard any more pressure. They haven't seen many more players. They're going to start breaking away. Forrester peeking back in, sees that bomb, knows exactly what's going on. Crad with the bait and switch, just peeking on his contact. Everyone is just getting demolished. James, the last one left. 1v5. We haven't even seen a lick of damage being done to this Entropiq side. VP, so slow to start on Vertigo, and maybe Ancient is calling, because honestly, I don't know how many more rounds realistically VP have got left. 1 to 15 down on their map pick. Ah, this is so wild. No one could have seen this coming.
No, there'll still be a few people in Twitch chat who were like, I told you to be 16-1. I told you to go all in, man. But it's not a scoreline that I think really anyone was expecting coming into this game, especially after the overpass. I mean, maybe if the initial overpass is a bit closer, you think, okay, yeah, Vertigo could be a little bit of a scrappy when it's a map that Entropiq do play a lot, even if their stats aren't great. But we didn't expect it to go this well for them, and perhaps things could definitely still be won out on towards Ancient as well. So it's given them the hope and the dreams here to potentially still take that third place, of course, and they're dealing with those pistols incredibly well. Nothing at all going to be found by the boys over on VP, as it looks like Ancient is getting ready. I'd imagine the admins are almost ready to swap the server over onto that map now, as Buster's left in the 1-on-4. Do you believe in the miraculous clutch?
No chance. Absolutely no chance in this one. Entropiq aren't going to let this happen. They've been so rock solid over the course of this entire map. They've put pressure on, and everyone's performed. And that's really what we said sort of going into this, is we want to see more individuals performing. And this is exactly what they've given us. Buster trying his best to see if he can get the clutch together. Might be able to get away with one. He's down to 16 points of health. He's got the bomb control. 15 seconds left on the clock. Entropiq even starting to make an aggressive move for Nickelback. So Buster going to peek back into the angle, and that's going to be it. 16-1 out for Entropiq. Jeez, I really don't know, Dean. That was such a curveball in the way that went down. And for Entropiq, they're here to play.